Hey guys, welcome to another edition of the Detour Live. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host Dan Jones, and I'm joined as always by four-time national road champion Johnny Trevor. Now, Johnny, I was looking at the winners of the national road title because obviously our guest today is Luke Turbo Durbo Durbridge, and you're the only guy to win 3 in a row with Sir Hubert Opperman, who won 4.
No. Incorrect.
Is that right?
No, we both won 4. He won. Only 2 of us won 3 in a row, and that was Russell Mockridge and me.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Well, we're off to a good start because last time Cam ripped me because I said he'd only won 6 world titles, and he said, "Oh, you need to check your facts." I thought, "Oh, all right, I'll check my facts. I got them wrong." So we're off to a cracker. Now, what can you tell us about Luke Durbridge? Now, when you put Luke Durbridge's name forward, you said, "All right, I've got a guest." Thinking, all right, here we go. And you go, Durbo. I said, okay. We spoke to Durbo 3 weeks ago on this show. So you're going back to the Durbo well. What are you going to bring to the table?
It wasn't just about going back to the well. It's just so much has happened in this whole COVID world. And we haven't told the story of Durbo and I have in a back lane at Heidelberg, so we have to go into that in a minute, and all that happened for him to even ride in those Australian titles. And knowing he's just arrived in Europe for their training camps there in Nevada. So I just thought, wow, let's talk about it all. And gee, you go back to those nationals, what a ride he put up. Huge. And he's just such a wonderful guy to talk to. So there you go.
Now, obviously, a lot of people listen to this podcast, but a lot watch it on YouTube. Now, if you're looking at John, he looks a little bit different. We've got a really good view of his nostrils, so I don't think we're going to go to the wide shot. You got computer problems, Iffy, but you're on your phone. Your Wi-Fi's all right.
My laptop that died yesterday, and I've taken to the U-Butte expert, my Mac, and it's not that old actually. It's still under warranty. Anyway, they can't save it at the moment, so it's away. Getting all sorted out, and then the Wi-Fi wouldn't work with the phone, so I've had to run into the kitchen. And as you say, but anyway, we're here, mate.
Yeah, well, I had a look at your laptop on the weekend. There was that many crumbs and that sort of embedded in the keys. I mean, I hope they don't run a blue light over that thing. But anyway, we're getting distracted. Without further ado, let's bring in our man of the hour. That is Luke Durbridge, who's all the way from Sierra Nevada. Durbo, it looks pretty chilly up there, mate. How's it going on the camp?
Yeah. We've got a fresh batch of, let me get my camera right, fresh batch of snow here this morning. So, it's been amazing weather the last couple of days. We've had like 27 degrees down the below. But last night, actually yesterday, I haven't had to get the car training many days, but it was pretty much yesterday out on this big 6-hour loop, and we got hit by this storm pretty much, and after 5 hours, we had to get in the car, and Wiley had to crank the heaters up and drive us 2 hours home. So it was a bit of a miserable day yesterday, but it's good for the cold adaptation.
And how is it being amongst the team for a training camp? I mean, over the years, you've been to South Africa. Obviously, with COVID, that wouldn't work. But how is it being with the group?
It's always good to be back with the team. Lucas Hamilton's here with me. So he's come from Aussie Summer as well. And then we've got, a few other guys here with some new guys. Andre Zeitz, Daniel Kangat, Brent Bookwater. Got about 6 guys. Simon Yates is here as well. And Michael Matthews is staying around the corner. So, it's a beautiful place to train because early in the season, it's so far south that we get some good weather. And but it's a bit of a strange time. At the moment we're staying at an apartment because hotels are closed due to COVID, and we have a chef being allowed to use the kitchen at a hotel. So when we go to have a meal, we walk up 500 meters to this abandoned hotel, and our chef Nikki is cooking in the kitchen there, and we sort of eat in the hotel and then walk back to our apartment. So. And if you do see me cover my face just randomly, a couple of police are driving around, so I have to have a mask on when I'm outside. So it's different compared to what we used to back in Australia at the moment. I mean, obviously Melbourne had some bad times there as well, but it's just the new normal here.
Yes, we've just had a 5-day lockdown, all of Victoria. So it was a slam bang whack, and it all seemed to work because we're out of jail.
which is
Yeah,
great
now.
news. It's just I think at the moment it's gone too far now to ever control it to the point Australia can. So we just live under these new restrictions until we can see some light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe.
Now, if you're very excited to tell the proper backstory for the Nationals, mate, because I know that you had a big part to play with the logistics of getting Durbo to the start in Ballarat.
Well, yeah, I thought let's go back to just before the Nationals when the lockdown happened and suddenly, for a change, Western Australia was in trouble and you were told, Durbo, that you wouldn't be able to come. So just take us through the processes to start that.
I think the press conference started at about, it was 12:30 the day before I flew out, and Mark McGowan got on and said, 5-day lockdown because there'd been one case in hotel quarantine security guard, and I was thinking, I don't know what this means to me. I was flying out to the Nationals the next day, and so I was just online checking out like what the situation would be for me to fly the Nationals, and pretty much everything. All the flights got, one got sold out, and two, you just couldn't get on them to get to Victoria because Victoria had then declared WA as a red zone, which means that we could no longer travel to Victoria without an exemption. So I was like, this was sort of late Monday night, and I was just online trying to find, what's an exemption. I'm trying to go through, life or death situation or, family member really sick or something. And so nothing I really had was sort of exempt. I really went through I eventually found one of the reasons to travel was for work. And so I sort of, it is my work, cycling, I guess. And it was sort of at the moment in an Olympic season, to not do the national championships is actually quite detrimental to your selection. So I was thinking, I've really got to get there. Plus, I love the Nationals, but I've really got to get there. So the next morning, I woke up and went and got a COVID test straight away. I'd sent my exemption off previously that night, and I was just waiting to hear. So that day went by. I got to the end of the night, and I eventually heard from Victoria Health, Jerry Ryan. Had lots of big thanks to him. Obviously, helped me out to maybe get Victorian Health to call me quicker than they would have. I spoke to them and sort of said that I would do all the right things, get a COVID test on arrival, quarantine until I'm clear, etc., etc. And so they're okay, yeah, we'll get back to you. So I was sort of just waiting, and I'm waiting. I'm like, what's gonna happen? Like, I've got to get on this plane. The next day rolled around Tuesday, and if I didn't get on the Tuesday flight at 1 p.m, I was no way making the TT. So I was just waiting. It got to about 11:30, and I live half an hour from the airport. So I'm like, said to my wife, I said, Lara, you've got to take me to the airport. She's like, we haven't got your exemption yet, and if I don't have the exemption, it's $5,000 fine and 2-week quarantine in a hotel. So it's not something I really wanted to play around with. But I was like, no, it'll be okay. Let's just take me to the airport. She takes me to the airport, and
but hang on, you've missed one little thing. A little bit of a fire was going on as well. Now, you haven't thrown that one in yet.
True. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. And then as I walk out, go to my car, I can't see because there's a huge bushfire just outside the city, and I'm talking like I live 3K from the city centre, and there was just soot all over my car. So I'm thinking, one, they're not going to probably be able to take off anyway, but. Anyway, I'm still pretty stubborn. I'm not, nah. I'm better off to go and ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. So I get to the airport and got your permit. And I'm like, yep. So they've checked me in. I haven't got my permit yet. I'm sitting at the lounge.
Were you shitting yourself when you said, yep?
The sweat was just like, it was just dripping.
Yeah.
And if he's calling me, he's like, how you going? I'm like, I've checked in, but I've got no permit. He's like, it'll be all right. And I don't know, he's trying to counsel.
I said, listen, mate, listen. I said, by the time you land, I'll have the permit. I've already spoken to them. And what they're going to send to you, they're going to send to me as well. So I'll have it printed off. I'll be standing at the gate. Don't worry. I won't let you down.
Take this the right way, John. But I'm sorry, but because if he's telling you this, your brain would be going, we are not out of the woods yet.
That's exactly right. So I was like, I was trying to thanks, John. I really appreciate that, but I'm just going to hold off. So, and then as I was getting on the plane, I was just refreshing my internet browser for my email, and then Bing the permit came forward, and I was like, oh my goodness, like the relief, like because it'd been 2 days of significant stress to try and get there, prepared really well, and got the permit, and then it only started from there really, because then when I landed, Iffy picked me up, Johnny picked me up, and he's like, all right, I've organised it. We've got to get a COVID test, by the time I landed, it was 8:30 at night, so we had to drive to Heidelberg. We get to Heidelberg about sort of 9:30, and we meet doctor there, and
You've jumped a mile ahead.
Oh, all right, you go.
It gets even better.
You tell the story, John.
No, I already tell the story, but it's like it wasn't. So while he's flying, I'm trying to sort it, because the one thing that was said with his permit that he had to get a test. Now, if we had have got done the next morning in Ballarat, which was an option, he wouldn't have even found out until just before the race. He would have been still in quarantine. So we had to get it done in Melbourne. So then I ring Jerry, and Jerry said, ring my doctor. So we ring Jerry's personal physician, and he says, okay, what's the go? I said, well, he's going to be landing at 8 o'clock in the evening. He said, all right then. I'll ring you back. So he rings me back and said, I've got onto a laboratory that'll do it quickly for us. It's in Heidelberg. Can you drive to Heidelberg? Yeah, right. Just park in the lane out the back. Oh, okay. So you can take back over.
And so you get to Heidelberg.
We get to Heidelberg, yes. And this black Mercedes rolls up, and I said to Iffy, I've never done a drug deal before, but this sure feels like one. Anyway,
and he comes up, hops over his car. He says, "Don't get out of the car." Okay. He said, "Actually, pull over, go around the corner a little bit, and pull over to the right, and Luke, you get over into the back seat." So we do all of this. He goes away. He comes back around again. And does the test in the back seat of the car. Oh, unbelievable!
It was ridiculous. And then he said, "Jamie, we get the test, and then we piss off to Ballarat. And by the time we get to Ballarat, it's sort of pretty late by then. We're sort of talking midnight.
A roadside cafe for dinner.
Yeah, nice club sandwich from the roadside. And then I get in the next day, and I'm not allowed to go out on the road until I've had this negative test. So I'm sitting in my sort of hotel room waiting to go training the day of the TT, just to go for a course around the course. So I'm refreshing the browser, and then by 10 o'clock, my negative test comes through, and I was good. I put my kit on and rode one lap of the TT, and then come back and then went out to the course, had some food, and raced the national. So yeah, it was a whirlwind, a bit of a whirlwind experience, but we got there in the end, and it ended up being quite a good nationals anyway for everyone. So I was happy to be there,
But just on the TT, like I've seen enough with the time trials to know that it is all about sort of repetition, meticulous preparation. You've got your sort of routine. How much did that whole process disrupt you, do you think, the day of the race?
Oh, look, I think it didn't help. I mean, I would say that Luke Plapp was on a very, very special day, and everything was going very, very well for him, and he was on great form. So I'm not saying that I would have beaten him if I had not had all that. But just looking at my ride personally, I was 30 seconds slower, I think, than the year before. My power was a little bit down. So obviously, and where I felt out there, I was just a bit tired. But it wasn't a bad ride. And like I said, Platt, even on a good day, I don't know how I would have gone against that on that particular day. But yeah, it did have an effect, but I'm not going to say that it changed the result at all.
Would have been closer. It would have been a lot closer because you're also on a brand new bike which hadn't really had much of a chance to ride as well. But
Yeah,
I just
yeah,
wonder.
yeah.
I wonder how your arch rival in the time trials, Rowan Dennis, would have gone with that preparation.
Who- Yeah,
I just say, Rowan. I
who
wonder
knows?
how Rowan
Ro-
would have
he
Rowan
might
would have
have-
handled that.
I think you just
I-
walked into a black spot there, Durbo. Can you do a U-bolt and head up to the hills?
Sorry, mate. For some reason, my phone is just like all of us. It just drained the battery so badly.
Oh, really?
It's like yeah,
And then-
it's just literally gone from like 90%. Now I'm on like 1%.
Okay.
So
Well, this is going to be one of the record shortest
detour chats.
podcasts, I'd say.
no, if you give me 1 second, I'm going to get my charger. So
All right,
Just,
you get your charger. We'll do the sponsors plugs. In fact,
Yeah.
what I'll do, I'll give you a couple of minutes here. We've got Iffy. You know, we used to always like a segment. Well, it's back.
Yeah.
I've got it. It's the Detour DeLorean.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Okay, we did a video with Durbo back in 2013. It was the top 5 time trial tips, and I reckon they're probably still current today. So here we go.
G'day guys, I'm Luke Durbridge. I'm going to give you some time trial tips today. It's the first episode of Orica GreenEDGE's Top 5. The top 5 tips for time trialing is from number 5 going down to 1. Number 5 is training, obviously. I spend a lot of time on my time trial bike. 2-3 times a week. I do my recovery rides, I do my hills rides, all on my time trial bike to get used to being in this very unconventional position. Number 4 is how do you ride the time trial? It is when you get out there, it is riding on your threshold. Now your threshold is the limit that you can hold for an hour. So we test and we train and we test and we train and we figure out what power we can hold for an hour. That is your threshold. So the best way to ride a time trial is to ride at that threshold, is that point of excruciating pain for an hour. Number 3 is technique. You have to have good technique in the time trial, as it makes a big difference for aerodynamics. You have to be able to lock into this position, which is quite narrow bars, as you can see, and that makes a big difference between how fast you go. So I train a lot with the core strength, doing lots of core so I can lock into this position and still produce power with my legs. Number 2 tip is, this one's very important. It is your position. In a sense, it's similar to technique, but technique is more pedal stroke and, like I said, with the core strength and things like that. But your position is crucial. For me, I mechanics, they don't like me very much. I continually change my position. So what your ideal position for the general punter out there would be to have your 2 90-degree angles without getting too technical. But if you were to lay down, you want this arm here to be at 90 degrees. You want your back and this to be at 90 degrees. 90 degrees, 90 degrees, like that. And then your head up is like that. And that is probably the most aerodynamic position for and comfortable and most powerful position that you can obtain. And the number 1 tip is you got to be tough. All right, you there looking this video? There's no excuses in time trial. There's nowhere to hide. There's no little snibbler on the wheel, gonna sprint. It is fair. Whoever wins the time trial wins the time trial. They are the strongest, the toughest, mentally, physically. They've done the training. They've got the technique right. They've got the positioning right. They've got every tip that I've given. They've got them all right, and that's why they win. So if you want to be the best in your local club time trial, or your wherever you're going to do it, you got to follow these techniques. Do it, be the toughest, and go win. Cheers to the top 5 tips for time trial with Luke Durbridge. Cheers.
Jonesy back now.
You're back. Did you get a chance to watch your top 5 tips, mate? Have they changed much?
Oh, I got locked out of the apartment, so I was trying to beat the door down. So I had to wake someone up to let me in. So yeah, no, I was not watching that. Been an experience.
Well,
Sorry,
I
boys.
think the guts of those the guts of those tips would probably still be current today. But I couldn't help but notice when you're doing the lock position, these new rules from the UCI that essentially it's going to be tougher for guys like you that are doing power of work on the front. And how many times do you love just getting in that sort of tuck position? You're going to have to change your whole repertoire, mate.
Yeah, I'm not really happy about it. I think it's there's a lot of other things that we probably need to look at rather than doing that. I mean, it is the elite sport. We take risks all the time, and that's what you do. Like, it's not out. Everyone's at the top of their game, so I just think those little things don't need to happen. But it's not up to us to make those decisions. So I'll have to adapt my position a little bit to get around it. But there's some guys already taking the mickey out of it anyway. By putting their pinky on the side of the hood and still doing the same position. So technically they're still doing the same thing. You know what I mean? But they just got their pinky on the thing. So if you make stupid rules like that, you're going to have stupid exemptions on them as well. So
we were talking about the Nationals earlier, and obviously, you had a great couple of days there. You did a mountain of work for Caden Groves to win the criterium. We know what you did for Cam. We had Cam on last week, and you guys were just in shock at the finish line there. But one thing I couldn't help sort of think of is, I mean, you're a sort of guy, you're going to ride for your teammates, you'll just do it. But it's not always the case in cycling. We had Alan Piper on. He was talking about issues they had with Fabio Aru when they said, look, you got to start working for Pogacar and all this sort of stuff. Is it hard to wrap your head around when you have riders that can't get in that team first mentality and just bury themselves like what you do? Because it just seems like a automatic reaction.
I think we sort of, in cycling, it can be quite tricky because it sort of stems from the top. We have Jerry Ryan at the top, obviously. Then under that we have Matt White and all the directors we have here, and I think that's just a cultural thing that if you do your job to the best of your ability and give it 100% for the team, you will have a place in this team. You will be looked after. You will be respected in this team. You will get good races like the Tour de France, etc., etc. And it's because you're giving yourself for the higher result. I think that's sort of what I learned being this team for so long, that as a teammate, you do get respected and you do get, get looked after. Where I feel in other teams, it's sure they can do the job, but at the end of the season, they go back through, pro cycling stats and see how much results you got and go, well, look, you didn't have a really good season. But in the end of the day, you're like, well, I didn't have a good season because I spent 90% on the front with, pulling for somewhere else. So I think that's why I feel like in this team you can just go that extra mile, because at the end of the season they're going to say, look, you did a really good job here, the Nationals did a good job there because you laid it on the line for the team, which is what we want.
Iffy?
Oh, look, you know what, Durbo, you are the consummate team man. And over the years, you've been doing it again and again, team time trials and all that. You've always been the man. But what really exemplified it all for me was after the Nationals, we came back and Jerry Ryan put a wonderful little celebratory party on at the Prince, and you were there as well, Dan. It was a really wonderful night. And then a few of us decided we needed to go for a little bit more. Why, I don't know. We ended up at a nightclub somewhere in South Yarra. And as we're all in line trying to get in, and as we get to the door, we're at the back of the line, you and I, Durbo, I managed to drop my phone, and at the same time it went flat, which means I couldn't do the ID check. And they thought I was a bit drunk. Now, of course not, they weren't correct, but he didn't want to let me in. And plus, I think the average age of the place was 17 and I'm 71, so I think the numbers didn't really add up. The bloke did not want to let me in. So I said, look, I'm okay. He said, all right, 15 minutes in the sin bin. He made me stand outside for 15 minutes. And Durbo, you wouldn't leave me. I said, get in. No, I'm not leaving you. You stood with me for the whole 15 minutes. I was very impressed.
Are you sure the security guard didn't say you too, like, and bundled it up as a package deal?
No, it was mainly me.
Yeah.
It was mainly me.
It was,
But
that was nuts.
yeah, old iffy. But one of the other things, John, we were talking about off air is that was a really good chat we had with Cam Mai last week, particularly when Cam opened up about that really difficult period he went through when he took time away from the sport and he went to London and he had to sort of reset. And, you know, I was telling Matt Keenan about it after that. He's like, oh, did you ask him about Dumoulin? I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, Dumoulin, he's done the same thing. Like, he's going away from the sport. And Cam was talking about how difficult it was to explain to people, you know, why he needed that break. Are you finding it, Durbo, particularly after last year, it is getting tougher, like with all the other restrictions? You're talking about the restrictions earlier, you know, races getting cancelled and all this sort of stuff. Does it make sense more now so than ever when riders put their hands up and say, you know what, I just need a bit of a spell?
Yeah, I think at this moment you can't judge anyone doing anything to just kind of survive. If they, you know, like Tom needs a break, then that's great. Yeah, you know, like some guys are not necessarily as sharp as they normally would be at certain periods of time, or they need a little bit more time at home than normal. Or yeah, I just feel it's just everyone's just trying to give a little bit of leeway to everyone. Well, just the society, really. Just give everyone a little bit of a break, because you just don't know how people are handling it. And, you know, it's lockdown I handled quite well. But, you know, I knew friends that didn't really handle it quite well. And out of lockdown, I suffered actually coming out of lockdown to realise the new normality, which was wear a mask everywhere and all these restrictions that we had for the rest of. We actually don't know when they're going to stop. So I think that was when I started to hit a little bit of a low point back end of last year, to thinking like, well, you know, when's this going to actually get any better? No one even knows. So yeah, I think for those guys, full credit to them to actually stand up and go, look, cycling is not everything. It's not worth losing my mind or my life or getting depressed in that point over it. And it is very, very hard sport, and you have to really, really love it, because there's some times where it's not much fun. You know, it's 2 degrees, it's pissing rain, there's no crowds, you can't go, you're in a bubble, you've been away from your family for 3 months. You know, there's these moments that are pretty tricky. So I feel like you have to be 100% committed to it. And if you're not, then that's fine. It doesn't matter. Like, you know, Tom Dumoulin as a bloke is a great guy. I've known him for many years. So I hope he's doing all right. And I think when Cam did the same thing, you know, Cam came back with this refresh mentality, and look what he's achieved since he came back, because he came back for the right reasons and for why he wanted to do cycling. He realised why he wanted to do cycling, not because of what other people told him what he could or could not do. He came back and just wanted to do what he wanted to do. So, yeah, I reckon those guys are good examples to call it before it's you get down the rabbit hole that's too deep.
You've been around for, am I unmuted or am I muted?
You're unmuted, John.
Okay. It said on the top I was muted. I thought,
there's some rattling going on in the background. So yes, it's like, yoink.
That was K into the lolly cupboard.
Yeah, that's right.
It looks like I'm getting a low battery sign too. So anyway, it'll be fun and games. You have been around. It's funny. I was talking to someone today about you, Durbo. I was saying we were going to be talking to you, and said, "Oh, yeah, one of my favourite riders." Da da da. He said, "I didn't realise how young he is, because I just assumed that he'd be the same age as Daryl Impey and all those. He'd been on the team. They're all 33, 34, but you're only 29. So you've packed a lot into that time. You've been known as this great time trialer and really good for the classics. When do you reckon that you will really hit your peak as far as the classics are concerned? Because I can just see you, Tour of Flanders, Paris-Roubiax being a race that you could win down the track.
Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to do my best results there for a few years now. probably my best classic season was 2017. And since then, I've probably had a pretty rough run. Collarbone, broke my neck, broke my hand, COVID.
Nothing serious.
So the last sort of 3-4 years has not been the most ideal classics prep for me. So yeah, like it's been a few years since I've been back up in that pointy end. But it's something I always really want to get to, and that's why I'm preparing. I think the Aussie summer really set me up really well, so I'm really looking forward to. Yeah, like I think I'm in great shape. I've come up here and training really well up here. Get used to the cold, but yeah, like I don't know when that magic moment will happen, but that's why we train, Johnny. You know, that's why we up here and do those extra little things. Because for me, the classics is something I really want to go well at, and yeah, who knows? Could be this year. So that's why we're here. And at the moment, like I said, this year is just more about taking every race as it comes. You just never really know when your next race is going to happen. So yeah, I'm looking forward to just hopping into opening weekend, which is next weekend, and then go from there.
Durbo, I know you're very much goal orientated. So like if you have a setback, you can just trigger your brain into go, right, what's the goal? What's the process? And that sort of help you get through. But have you found, obviously with COVID and that, you can't sort of think too far ahead? Is it one of those things where you have to let go of this whole locked in mindset of this is what I'm trying to predict so that it prevents you from sort of losing your mind a bit?
Yeah, I think you're 100% right, Dan. That was something probably my biggest suffering moment during COVID was because I'm just like goal orientated, and if like I said, everything happens, I can just change the goal, move it on because I've got my target and I'm going to go for it. Yeah, that was something that I'd never experienced, and I think that's all athletes. Like we just literally felt legless. We just wow, there's these targets. We literally have our whole season laid out for us every single day nearly on an Excel spreadsheet at January 1st. So we know exactly where we're going to be, where we're going to race, all the way until November. And all of a sudden that spreadsheet doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? It sounds so stupid, but you're like, I see my life on this timeline, and then all of a sudden it just doesn't matter anymore. So you're just like, fuck, like, what am I going to do? Pretty much that, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was the biggest thing I learned this year was like, last year was just to be a bit adaptable, just to be a bit more sort of like day to day. That's not like defeat us in a way. It's more just like be a bit more open to like, okay, well, yep, that's not going to happen. So we can change. We can do this. We can have a rest day there. We can have a training session there. We can do this. We can do that. Like, just be really like, there's so many aspects to performance. The biggest aspect is the mind. And if that's fine and you're keeping that sort of, sharp up and ready to race, the body follows suit anyway. So I feel like that was the biggest thing I learned last year was like, I still tried to hold on to that spreadsheet like for a very long time. And like, I got to be ready. The race might happen tomorrow. Then eventually you just burn out, and it was a good thing to learn.
Well, one guy that I reckon probably had a big effect with that mindset side was your old mate, Swain Tuft. He was awesome when it come to the mindset and, different philosophies. What were some of the key things that Swaino taught you? Because I know you two used to room together a lot back in the day.
I was very fortunate as a young guy to have a roommate like that. He sort of taught me a lot about me. Obviously, motorcycling, it's about actually looking after you. Nice photo there, Jones. Here, cheers.
Oh, here's a better one. Sorry, mate. That's you and Swaino after winning a race in France, was it? The Duo Normand, was it?
Duo Normand or someone, yep.
Yeah, what was the story?
He was just such a great guy. Just very, as you said, Jody, very even keel. He realised that sort of cycling was like a nice thing to do, but it wasn't defining him as a person. So he had some crazy ideas. But just like when we come back to the room, we'd have his like a salt lamp on, all the lights would be off. We had blue light blockers on. He'd be sitting there just sort of meditating, just chilling out, and wake up in the morning, do 15-minute freezing cold shower and then walk out in the bloody snow and do some stretching barefoot. Like, this guy had some like crazy ideas, you know, but a lot of them were really, really good because, you know, for me, it was like, it taught me a lot about my body, taught me a lot about my mind. And this guy was just an ox, you know, just one of the strongest humans that you would know. You know, with Jones, you would have remembered some of the times that what he did on the bike was just incredible. So, yeah, it's during COVID times, I've been actually very much in contact with Swainer. He's moved back to Canada, and he's doing well. So, yeah, we were in contact a lot, so we're still very good friends. So, lucky to have like a really good role model like that.
Iffy?
There was a great story on, look, I think it was Cycling Tips or Pez
Cycling News.
Cycling News, but just the other day with Sveno talking about how he'd set up his touring operation in Europe, and then suddenly COVID hit, so he had to get back to Canada and readjust it, and how he's done that. And he was just taken off on a long trip with his dog again, I think, so he's gone back to zero.
Back to the roots.
Back to the roots, yeah.
Durbo, like, let's go back. You know, you've obviously before GreenEDGE, you had a lot of success in the time trials, you know, at a junior level. But I was looking at the Wikipedia, and it said you joined GreenEDGE after being given the arse by the track program. What was it? Is that true? Did they give you the lemon and sauce? And then you said, all right, well, that's it. I need to start turning it into the road.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. Nothing stops it. In 2011, it was with the Track Worlds, and we won the teamship. Aussie team, I was part of that. So, and then, but I was struggling. You know, I was fourth man. I was, I finished the qualifying, and then I just got dropped in the final. I really suffered. I don't have a lot of punch on me or sprint, so getting off the line was probably the worst thing for me. And they were just getting faster and faster and faster and bigger gears. So it happened in about 2012 at the Singapore Lounge. I just missed selection for London World Cup, and sat down with the Ian McKenzie, who was the head coach there at the lounge, pretty much. And he said, "Yeah, look, you've been world champion. That's great. You know, at least you got something out of it, but just don't think this is going to work."
Yeah, right.
So I was like, "Oh, yep, fair enough." I said, "But the good thing about it, I already signed with."
You there, mate?
Yeah, mate. Sorry, just my alarms went on.
Yeah, you're right.
All happening this morning. I'm a terrible guest this morning. Sorry, boys.
No, that's good.
That's great.
And then, so then I just went full gas to the road. I just said, look, you know, I've got a pro deal, and to be honest, I was like a pig shit. I was so happy to have that relief. Track all so much stress. I'm happy to get a world champion out of it, but in the end, there's no way I had the same feelings for the track as I did for the road. So obviously just happy someone to go, look, don't think it's going to work. I'm like, okay, cool. See you later. I'm out of it.
Yeah, let's go.
I haven't ridden track bike ever since.
Iffy?
So you've been with the team right from the start. That's what is that now?
2012.
9 years. 9 years. Yep. How's it changed? The pro cycling. How's it changed in that 9 years?
Pro cycling in general, or the team?
Yeah. Well, both really. I suppose pro cycling in general was the question. Yeah.
I'd say it's a bit. What would I say? Like every race is not saying there was easy races back in 2012, but I remember back in 2013 or 14 when first Grand Tour Giro Italia did. Pizarro came to the front. You know, when it was snowing on one of the climbs and just neutralised the whole stage. We rode up climb, and he said, no, we're not racing in these conditions. And we just, like Nels Pizzardo said, that's so we just stopped. Cancellara's done the same thing, neutralized a couple of circuits. There was this like hierarchy, I guess, in terms of these spokespeople in Peloton that just do those things. And sort of everyone else like, okay, yeah, that's what they say. So that's the way it is. But now it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter Alpha Lip or Walt Van Aert or Luke Durbridge. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are. You put your number on, and you literally go out, and it's warming. It's from kilometre zero. It's elbowed out, and I'm going to race you to that corner. And if you break first, then that's your fault. So it's very cutthroat. But I think you just got to accept that. I think a lot of guys sort of transitioning from that era to this era now is just like they don't accept, like, oh, there's no respect in the peloton. But for me, it's like, well, no, there isn't. There is no respect. It's a race. So just get over it and get your elbows out. And if you're not ready to do that, well, then maybe it's time to stop. But I feel like now I don't care if you're 18 years old or 39. I mean, it's not as, I guess, it's not as many friendships and things like that in the peloton as much. I don't think. Like, there's not that, camaraderie between riders because as soon as you put the number on, like I barely can have a chat to anyone, fellow teammates or anything like that. It's just like, oh, sorry, mate, just got to go straight to the front. Straight to the front, get to the front. So it's like as soon as you put the number on now, it's intense, and I feel like the careers will be getting probably shorter and shorter because of this. Just because it's not sustainable after for so many years, unless you understand like that's what it is. And that's what I've said. I was like, okay, look, I'll put my number on. I'm not here to make friends.
But I guess going along look, now we're seeing these youngsters 21, 22 winning the Tour de France and everything. So back when you first started, you were expected to do an apprenticeship, and no one really thought until you're about 24 or 25 that you're really going to be able to step up. Now 21-year-olds are in the Tour de France, so everyone's thinking of it differently.
Exactly. It's one of those things that that young guys straight away there's no like steps and processes. They come in and they go winner. So which means young guys come in probably with bigger egos than they did before.
Now, a big win for you, Durbo, was obviously in 2012. You won the prologue at Daulphiné. You had the leaders jersey. You beat the likes of Wiggins, Cancellara, all the hitters. I mean, looking back now, do you think that having success at that age, like, where was your mindset at after winning that? Were you thinking, shit, I'm going to get a bloody truckload of these yellow jersey things. I could get used to this, but then a deeper understanding of that is a massive, massive victory.
Yeah. Sorry, you just broke up a little bit there. My internet seems to drop out. Hold up. Can you hear me?
You're all right, mate. Yeah. Can you hear me? I just said in terms of that victory at the Dauphiné, it happened at such an early part of your career, and you beat like Wigo and Cancellara and these sort of guys. Was your mindset then thinking, far out, I'm going to be smashing these prologues, and if I can roll these sort of guys, did that add extra layers of pressure?
Sure, 100%. Young guy, you walk in, you win. I think I won 8 or 12 races that year. So I was just thinking, like, this is the way it's going to be. But then quickly realised the level where it was and how hard it was to get those victories. And I think in the end, you sort of, I sort of had to take probably 13 or 14 was a bit of a realisation like how really hard cycling is. And doing my first Grand Tour in 13 was like, yeah, okay, there's a whole nother level to just winning, Petusia Ron, and then going trying to win a stage of the Giro. So yeah, it was a bit of an adaptation phase there. I learned a lot, and but yeah, I think now, you look back at those memories and realise how special they are, and how you sort of still striving to get more of them. And I still feel like now a bit more a complete bike rider now, so I can go after some big results still to come.
if he,
I've just had to plug my.
you sound like you're in a toilet.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Just. Well, I want to talk to you, Durbo, as well about another guy that's had a big part in your career in terms of a bit of a mentor, and that is, of course, Matty Hayman. Now, we've milked this cow many a times on this show. That is Paris-Roubaix. But talk to us about your passion for Paris-Roubaix, because it's people often build it up. You know, it is just such a unique race. But what is it about Roubaix that has really lit a fire for you?
Well, I mean, back when I remember watching Stewie win at home on some dodgy Russian feed. It wasn't even in English at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I just remembered how epic that race was. And every year after that, I was watching it, pretty much from Stewie onwards. Maybe the year before I watched as well. And then to be a part of, you know, a race-winning Roubaix team with a good mate of mine, Matt Hayman, was pretty incredible. That day was so epic for so many reasons, and I think we've been through that. But you know, with Mick Docker crashing and Hayman winning, and then I was also on a decent day myself, and yeah, it was awesome. And then I think Roubaix is so cruel, but also so beautiful at the same time, because you know there's been a lot of times where I've had, you know, quite bad times at Roubaix, but I also had some special times in Roubaix. And I think if you think about it now, we're still talking about 2016 Matty Hayman Roubaix, because when the day comes together, it's a memory for life. Like it's one of those things that you will never forget that day. And I think that's why we blank out. We have short memories about all the other unfortunate events that we've had in Roubaix, because I remember 2016. So,
well, we talked about it obviously in All for One, but you know that story of when Hayman broke his arm. I mean, what were you thinking? Go back 6 weeks, like when Hayman's had that crash, and then you hear rumors that he's on a trainer. You know, you look at the setup there. He's got the ladder. He's got the bandages out. Were you thinking, mate? Like, I love your determination, but you ain't racing Roubaix, or were you thinking, no, he's going to come back. He's going to ride this thing.
Oh no, we completely written him off. No way. We saw Hayman after hit opening weekend and a broken arm, and he sort of came in and we said, look, mate, go home, drink a bottle of gin, and then wake up the next day and, you know, start again, more or less.
Yeah.
Just try to forget it, you know, just I don't know, just do something. And then he did these 2 races in Spain, and then they're like, oh, Wilson was floating this rumor about bringing Hayman in, and because I was going quite well, and so I was a leader. So I'd sort of gone a few races during this season, and I've sort of done some good results, and they were thinking like, okay, Durbo's a leader for Roubaix. So Hayman sort of came in really just, you know, not really doing sort of anything really, just to do the first 100K. And then we did the recon a couple of days before, and we had a motorbike. We were all sitting behind the motorbike. And Hayman had a really hard session. And Hayman was like, oh, no, I don't need the motorbike, but you know, don't mind me, I'll just stay with you guys. Anyway, so we're motorbiking a whole probably 120K of Roubaix on the cobbles. And Hayman didn't sit on the motorbike once. He just sat off the back or off the front of the motorbike the entire ride. And we were just like, how strong is this guy? We're looking back, like we're on a motorbike 50 k's an hour, and Hayman's still holding on, you know, just at the back, just and then he goes around the motorbike for his efforts and comes back. So I was thinking, like, shit, you know, like that was probably the world's hardest session, and he's handled that pretty well. And then, like, but I still didn't have any idea. Next thing, he was so chilled, you know, like he was doing making a PowerPoint for his missus the day before to how to upload a Garmin. Didn't really, just sat in the bus, was just chilled. I think his son was on the bus in the morning, and you know, and I think it was just that whole thing was just like he just never expected. No one ever expected. I think that was the best thing about it, was that he was open, to any opportunity because he was just glad to be there. And it was such a very, very powerful mentality.
Well, we've got obviously the video from that day, just the best bits, you know, when it's really coming up. And this was the iconic moment from the backstage pass. And this is the part here where he gets spat off the back. And for everyone watching, I mean, if you're in that situation, Durbo, what would be rattling through your head?
So you're gonna come across something today. There's gonna be something go wrong, and try and keep.
I think he said he must have been just so angry. I think he was so angry, but he's also just like, well, what can you do? Get back, suck it in, fired it up. So the thing is, he can't see him for ages here, hey, and then he just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, and it gets back on. And I remember being in the stadium and just thinking,
it makes sense, doesn't it?
And then he gets back on, and obviously that was the point where I think everyone was like, okay, yeah. And the Batman soundtrack really pumps it. But then obviously in the car, you know, that's when Lorenzo and Matty...
Too much tingles.
Well, mate, you never get sick of watching this. And then this is when you've got that mentality where it's like, I got nothing to lose here. I got absolutely nothing to lose. No one thought I was even going to like start this thing. And then building up to the finale, I mean, people in the stand where Nygaard is here, they rattled off the 4 names who could potentially win, and they were cheering. They didn't mention Hayman once. So even the guys wrote him off.
If he's got the legs, he should. He's got to lay off him, use him as much as possible, and go again. And
so this is ballsy. 2.2k to go. Attacks Bonin.
I just love how he beat Boonen in a sprint. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
6 meters.
Actually, he had Boonen gone there. Boonen wasn't coming back, but he realised that
the other 3 are looking at each other.
That was over.
He's struggling to come back at the wheel. Matt Hayman,
yeah, you can see, like, Boonen did a good job to bridge the gap there.
Yeah. Yeah, Matty eased a little bit. I think Matty didn't realise he actually had it. But anyway, it didn't matter. He still won it.
Well, I think that's what sucked it, like Boonen in the sprint. If Matty did do the attack, Boonen would probably won the sprint.
Yeah. That was a great stat of Keenan's here.
109. The odds are stacked against the Australian. But the underdog has gotten up before.
Yeah, I remember one other time we had a chance in the velodrome was, I think, Couklier, was it? Was it the year before when he was in the bunch sprint?
Tom Bowden is on the fronts.
Yep.
Van Mark is panting, but Van Mark knows what's required. He was second.
And then I remember this one, I thought, oh, you just couldn't even watch. You're that nervous. Like Joachim here.
Up the top of the
all right, let's watch the last bit.
He's getting the run up. He's taking advantage of the potential dive. Go, Matty. Momentum onto the wheel of Tom Bowden.
Come on, Matty. Let's go.
Go, Matty! To the wheel, and here comes Seth Van Mark. Tom Bowden is boxed in. Hayman is leading out. It's Stannard around the outside. Hayman with his nose in front. Bowden is trying to challenge, but it's Matthew Hayman. It's an early birthday present. Hayman holding on. Hayman wins. Yeah!
We won it!
I love that. Copper's trying to boot him and he tells him, we won it! And then this Copper on the right-hand side.
Go, the police.
Yeah, he's filthy. And then obviously Durbo will quickly show your reaction after the finish there because it was high emotions.
Believe it? Can you believe it? Wow. Oh, God. What a freak.
And he's obviously Durbo.
That's you. Oh, man. Oh.
I can't believe you're a fucking legend. Well, I have no idea. I just saw Hayman get an interview, and I'm like, oh, he's had a good ride, obviously. And then I just see the salute, and I can't believe it, mate. The guy, no, just goes to show, mate. Persistence. That's one for the good guys.
One for the good guys.
You never get sick of seeing that.
We never get sick of it, and every part of that's been talked about in depth and in depth. Except
I watched that a couple of times in lockdown and just
for
watched
your
it
part,
live.
because Durbo, you actually had a great day as well, but you had your issues. So what actually happened to you?
There, Durbo?
They're really breaking up. Yeah,
Sorry.
you're sorry.
Oh, you're all right, mate. We're just saying, like, your experience of that day, like you, Hayman was off the front, and then you. I think we're cooked. All right, can you hear us, mate? We're just about toast. I think the Wi-Fi gods on the camp are just about. We've just about run our race, lads. Can you hear us, Durbo? Yeah. What I might do is I'll play a quick ad from Bike Exchange, Iffy. And then if we can get Durbo to wrap up, then we're sweet. So here's a quick word from our great mates at Bike Exchange.
You back?
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike. 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. But not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
All right, we're back to wrap things up with our special guest, Luke Durbridge. Durbo, can you hear us?
I plugged my phone back in so I could do with the other ads.
Okay, perfect. Durbo, you there, mate? Can you hear us?
Yes. Sorry about this, boys. I think everyone's waking up, so.
They're clogging the internet.
So
yeah,
good
all
to
right.
chat to you guys, And sorry about the hiccups this morning.
Nah, no dramas at all, mate. That was a fantastic chat. Apologies for the internet back end issues, but there's nothing we can do about that. But we got the gist of it. What's just one thing to leave people with is, of all the things that you've learned in this career, Durbo, you talked about you've had to deal with setbacks and you've had to rewire the way you look at things. What are some of the things you want to leave the viewers with, particularly in terms of how to get through those sort of tougher moments?
What I've learned, I'd probably say just, I mean, in the end, you've really got to find, I don't know, Jess, you put me on the spot now, but I feel like for me, what I've learned is I've actually you got to be kind to yourself. That's the biggest thing. We are our harshest critic, and I think in the end, you've really got to be kind to yourself and just sort of roll with it. And you might feel good one day, one bad the next, but you just really got to roll with it. And this year, I've had a mentality, like I said, I'm sort of enjoying everything as it comes, because you never know when your world gets turned upside down. I think that's the biggest thing with COVID. We've never known when it's just going to all of a sudden, turn upside down. So I'm going to race every race like it's, you never know when the next race is going to come, and try and live every moment that way. It's definitely a, pipe dream in that sense, because it doesn't always feel great every single day. But for sure, I'm just going to roll like that, and everyone out there can try and do the same. Try not to look too far ahead. Just try and enjoy what you're doing right now, here and now, and tomorrow will come. So just enjoy today.
Good stuff, mate. Obviously, we got a message from Wendy Superfan. Thanks for coming on, Durbo. Best of luck to you and the team in 2021. We've got another one. Goosebumps every time from the halfback flanker. That was obviously regarding the Paris-Roubiax and Vazzy. Wow, how good was that? Fantastic memories, legendary stuff. It's been a pleasure, Durbo. Thanks for joining us on the detour, mate.
I was just going to ask one question before we've still got him. What's your main agendas for this year? So you've got the classics are your big thing, but what about the Grand Tours? You focusing on Giro or Tour? Or what's the plan?
At the moment, I think I'll be focused on the Tour. Yeah, so do the classics up until Roubaix, bit of a break, and then hopefully go to Tour de France, and then back in the season, I'd say probably World Championships in Belgium. So that'll be good.
Good stuff. Say good day to the boys, Durbo. Get back amongst it, mate. You got a rest day today?
Yep, just chilling out, mate. So thanks for having me on, guys. And like I said, sorry about the poor conditions of the review.
Thanks for allowing us to chew an hour of your rest day. We appreciate it, mate. We'll speak to you soon.
Really appreciate it. Thanks, bud.
Cheers, mate.
See you, boys.
Luke Durbridge, absolute superstar. And we've chewed all of his bandwidth too, Iffy. I know on those training camps they can sort of allocate you X amount. So, thanks for Durbo for that. Now, sponsors plugs. Why don't we kick things off with your mates at Let's Go, the van that tried to mow you down?
Well, I've learned from the last one. Actually, I've got a little bit of a spiel here rather than just talk about the one that really mowed me down. But a holiday in a Let's Go motorhome or camp van is the perfect family escape. So for your next holidays, just grab hold of a Let's Go motorhome. It's got a bike rack on the back and have a great adventure. Get out and explore your backyard. Hire a Let's Go motorhome or camper van for your next great escape.
That's way more polished than the last time. And Jayco.
Well, as I mentioned last time, funnily, all the Let's Go motorhomes are Jayco. So there you go. But if you want to buy a new caravan, well, where else would you go but to Jayco, the people who have supported Australian cycling for a quarter of a century? But even if that wasn't the case, they're the biggest caravan manufacturer in Australia by about 4 times anyone else, and they make an amazing range of vans. And I know my daughter is looking at buying a new caravan at the moment. So Wednesday I'm going to a local prestige Jayco dealer to have a look at the whole range for her.
Oh, very good. And Mitchelton Wines, Johnny, this is where you really shine.
Well, it's something about that product that shines all right. One of Australia's favourite wineries and a place of escape. Experience the history, the beauty and the serenity of the Goulburn Valley at your own pace. Looking over the vineyards from the iconic tower, staying at the new hotel, relaxing by the pool, recharging in the day spa where you can quiet the mind, unwind the body and rediscover balance in a setting of peace and harmony. Explore the senior menu at the wonderful Muse restaurant where locals produce offers worlds of flavour. Sample their seasonal menu with all wines perfectly paired. Stop by the Providore and tour the cellars and, of course, taste their highly awarded signature wines, always to be enjoyed. Taste the craft and the care in every bottle at their cellar door. Mitchelton has become very popular as a venue for weddings and that special celebration. And there's a happy couple right there. And there's a couple of happy couples, I think, in your shots there. But it is amazing, on the banks of the beautiful Goulburn River. But you must have a visit down into the cellars to the art gallery. It's the world-class. Matter of fact, it's the largest private Aboriginal art exhibition in the world. And some of the pieces are just breathtaking. And, of course, there's one specialty. There it is, the $10,000 Land Cruiser, which is now up to €700,000.
Euro. So that's probably 1.1 million Aussie. Just keeps going up and up. We had a few other comments. We had Gary Tilley. Hi, Dan and John. Spending a few days in and around your old stomping ground in Inverloch, and it's bloody chilly. The weather is really hot and cold out in Gippsland.
Chilly.
Yeah. And I think Karen Jones, as only if you would do, I think that was all your technical issues throughout the show.
I saw Karen starring on the news last night. They had her on Channel 7 News talking about the Warrnambool being cancelled and the government stepping up and giving her $100,000 to make up for it. Or maybe it was a little bit less than that.
Oh, well, that's good. But that was a shame because they had obviously a couple of big names that were going to compete in the Warnie. It's probably the biggest field they've had in 10, 15 years.
Look, it was looking fantastic, but they've got the new date. So May the 1st, the Warnie's back. And it's in amongst a whole stack of other great NRS races. So it should be a fantastic day. And I'll be there.
Good stuff, mate. And as we always say to people, make sure you follow us, youtube.com/the Detour podcast. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, just search the Detour. Finally, John, takeaways from the chat with Durbo. Very impressive man. And it is amazing to think he's only 29 still, as you said. Yes,
and look, we saw him at one stage there. He looked like he was going to be one of the world's best time. Look, he's one of the world's best time trials. Let's be fair. And he's managed to roll Rowan Dennis the year that Rowan was world champion. But at the big ones like World Championships and Tour de France, he just hasn't been able to quite step back up. And I don't know what it is because he has got the ability. But as you say, he's only 29, and a lot of time trials don't hit their straps till into their 30s. And I really do believe that we're going to see the best of Durbo over the next couple of years.
I think the hardest thing in Durbo's position is, if you want to be the world's best time trial, I mean, that's pretty much what you solely hone in on for a lot of the time as well. Whereas he's got to juggle all these other roles he's got in the team. You're going to be riding the classics. You're going to be that guy that's on the front, pulling back brakes, all this sort of stuff. So, you're sort of in a couple of different camps. So it makes that a little bit more difficult, I suppose.
Yeah, and he's more than that. I think, look, Ghana right now, he looks like he's going to be the dominant time trialer for a few years. But I think that races like Paris-Roubiax, Tour of Flanders, all of those Belgian classics, even Milan San Remo is a race that Durbo, you can just imagine him going away over the last couple of kilometres of that. So I think we'll see Durbo right up the pointy end. Well, he's always been at the pointy end, but I can see him taking
these sort of salutes.
Classic. Exactly. Yep.
Well, it was great to have him on the show. We'll be back again probably within the week, so make sure you tick on notifications so that when we do go live, you'll get a notification. And thanks for tuning in. Anything before we leave, John? You want to add?
No. Great. Sorry for my technical difficulties again today, but never happened to me before. But we'll see. Let's make sure it's right. Hopefully, I'll get my laptop back tomorrow.
Well, we'll just wait and see. I'm tipping it'll be Thursday, Friday. Finally, Wombat Breath. Thanks, guys. Great stuff. And Kim Dixon, an amazing summer for Durbo. Hope it's a great year for him. Couldn't agree anymore. Thanks for tuning in to the Detour, and we'll see you again soon.
This is the winning